The Moors, we call them slaves. Slaves have always been part of Moroccan history. The Moors, we call them slaves. Slaves have always been part of Moroccan history.
I'm not no fucking African, number one. That's our NETER talking. That's our NETER, yeah, this our NETER talking. I'm not no fucking... None of you niggas know nothing about Africa. Y'all can claim Africa all you want. Them niggas look at y'all like a piece of shit. So y'all keep on saying we African. What the fuck does that mean? Ain't no such thing as I'm African. Fuck Africa.
Yeah.
What does the word Moor means?
It means a slave. Yes.
So the word Moor means slave.
Yes, that's right.
I'm questioning the validity of the information as they have related it to be the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I say, and I will continue to say, that TARIQ does not teach Moorish science as taught by Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
How y'all brothers doing, man? What's your name?
My name is Mustafa Akullu.
Where you from, Mustafa Akullu?
Morocco. I'm from, yeah.
We was just having a conversation off camera, man, and you was explaining it to us about the Moors in Morocco. I'd like for you to elaborate a little more on that to Black News 102.
All right. As far as Moroccan history is concerned, the Moors, we call them slaves. Slaves have always been part of Moroccan history. The Moors, we call them slaves. Slaves have always been part of Moroccan history. The Moors, we call them slaves. Slaves have always been part of Moroccan history. They played a great role in Moroccan history. They have been used to build important cities, important empire cities in Morocco, like Fez, Meknes, Marrakesh. All right. And then there was this kind of slave trade, and also Morocco was engaged even in the triangle, in what is called in history the triangle slave trade, like exporting. Morocco was actually engaged in exporting slaves from Africa to America.
Now you're talking about black people. These are black Moors.
That's right. Yeah.
Bringing in African slaves. Wow.
Yeah, that's
so you said that the history of the Moors in Morocco, they were slaves. He's saying that the history of the Moors in Morocco were slaves, though. So
no, he said the Moors was bringing in African slaves.
No, I heard that part, but in the beginning you said that they were slaves and they built a lot of stuff, right?
Yes.
Who enslaved those people?
For example, I'll give you an example. As far as with my limited knowledge, of course, I've read that in Meknes, the Sultan, before he was called the Sultan.
Was it Moulay Ismail?
The Sultan named Moulay Ismail. Yes.
Moulay Ismail.
He gathered all many slaves from sub-Saharan and the slaves in Morocco. So he gathered them and he castrated them because he had so many wives. So he was afraid that they would have a kind of, because he had what we call harem. So
was he an Arab? Was Moulay Ismail Arab that enslaved the African Moors? So he was not a Moor. He was actually an Arab that invaded the country and enslaved the Moors.
Yes,
so the Moors actually in Morocco were the slaves.
Yes. Yes. The Moors, we call them slaves. Slaves have always been part of Moroccan history. So, all right, as far as Moroccan history is concerned, we have to mention what we call Berbers. Okay. Yes, Berbers are the natives of North Africa, all the way from Canary Islands to the borders between Libya and Siwa. Okay? And North Africa has always been an intersection of different cultures, and Berbers now, if you study the Berbers as a race, they are diverse. You have white Berbers, and you have brown Berbers, and you have black Berbers. The Moors, we call them slaves. Slaves have always been part of Moroccan history. Okay? The nomads and all that stuff. So anyway, let me just finish this when it comes to Moulay Ismail and the building of empire cities in Morocco. So he gathered not all, but many slaves, and then he used them to build the city. If you go now to Meknes, you'll find great walls, okay? Long, great walls surrounded, the city is surrounded with great walls. And these walls, as far as the history is concerned, were built by the slaves. that were brought in parts in different parts of Morocco, and it's, yes, yeah, of course. Yeah.
So what you're saying is he actually came in and used the indigenous people of those lands as slaves. So then the question I would have to ask is, you being from Morocco, the Moors that was in Spain, were those African slaves, or was those African Moors, or were those the more mixed Moors or Arabs that went up into Spain?
Okay. As far as Spain is concerned, the Moors that were there were mixed Moors, so both black and brown, and then Berbers and Arabs, so and Jews as well, because they were expelled from Spain at a certain, I guess in the, what century was that?
You say they were expelled from Spain?
Yeah, they were chased out. So yes, in the 15th century, and then that's. But anyway, the Moroccan regimes were also engaged in this kind of slave trade and slave exercise, if you want. The Moors, we call them slaves. Slaves have always been part of Moroccan history. So that's
right. And the reason why I was asking that on Black News 102, I just wanted to know, you being from Morocco, the indigenous African Moroccans on that continent, the Africans there, those were the ones predominantly that were enslaved by other groups coming into Morocco,
right.
And they enslaved the people. So this is a person from Morocco, this is a brother from Morocco, coming to Black News 102, saying that the so-called African Moors in Morocco were the slaves.
Yes.
They were the ones building it as slaves by other intruders coming in and taking over the country. Am I wrong or right?
Yes, that's right. The Moors, we call them slaves. Slaves have always been part of Moroccan history.
Now, let me ask him last question.
Yeah.
What does the word Moor means?
Okay, Moor. Here you cannot. You cannot kind of. It's a really complicated. It's a very complicated concept. It's a concept, and it is very complicated because you have Spanish Moors and you have the Moors in Morocco as well, and now the Mauritanians, okay, which are part of, which are the people of.
Yeah, next, don't go nowhere.
Yeah,
All right, what did you say it means, black?
it means not actually. It means a slave. It means a slave. That, yes.
So the word Moor means slave.
Yes, that's right. The Moors, we call them slaves. Slaves have always been part of Moroccan history. The Moors, we call them slaves. Slaves have always been part of Moroccan history.
I'm not no fucking African. Number one. That's NETER talking. That's NETER. Yeah, this NETER talking. I'm not no fucking. None of you niggas know nothing about Africa. Y'all can claim Africa all you want. Them niggas look at y'all like a piece of shit. So y'all keep on saying we African. What the fuck does that mean? Ain't no such thing as I'm African. Fuck Africa.
Yeah.
What does the word Moor means?
It means a slave. That, yes.
So the word Moor means slave.
Yes, that's right.